So, speaking in my own defence, obviously, if I was to be my own defence barrister, which I certainly hope I'm not, then I would have said that there's a great deal of mitigating factors to consider in my case. There's the fact that first of all, I didn't really intend what I said. I certainly didn't intend to carry it out. I didn't intend anyone to really watch it, in fact. I mean, I did make it public, but I was also inebriated at the time and deeply angry and really just venting my frustrations on the internet. I also made the point about self-defense within the video itself, saying that actually sometimes we do need to carry knives on us as a means of self-defense, depending on who we're going up against and what they're likely to do. And there's the other point of the fact that I have a mental illness, for one thing. There's that, and the fact that people within the society around me have known that I've got a mental illness. They know also that the best way of triggering my mental illness is to have any engagement with mental health services. That's a big triggering factor for my mental illness. Really, I don't like being assessed and analysed by everyone around me, and this is what you have to go through on a day-to-day basis if you are a person who suffers from so-called serious mental health difficulties. You know, that you get everyone around you constantly analysing your behaviour and like every fucking thing you say, or like every joke you try and make, or whatever it is, and you don't feel empathised with, you feel constantly analysed. And and then you come across like the deeply unempathic, disinterested types who are really only interested in their paychecks and so on, and doing their job, and trying to keep you going through the system because it creates more of an impression of a mental health epidemic, and that means they get more funding from central government rather than getting their funding cut like they probably should have. Since like no one really going through the system, except very few people I've ever met going through the system, believe this actually helps anything or anyone. That's the point of it. No one is really getting better going through these places. No one wants to be here. You know, no one thinks hospital helps. No one thinks the medication really helps them. Not in my experience, not the people I've met anyway, going through NHS mental health services. This is torture. We're being tortured. We're being tortured psychologically and emotionally, and that is the threat that they set up. Basically, that's what Nicola and my father were doing. My father, my nearest relative, tried to, I'm very concerned about my son and so on. I think he's going mad again and all this sort of shit. When I start saying things on the internet he doesn't like, you have to look at the videos I posted. The videos exposing him for what he did to that barn conversion, for one thing, which I believe is criminal damage at the highest level. And all the shit he's done in the past, which I haven't taken online, that I've got recorded evidence of. The numerous assaults, the touching me inappropriate, without my consent, basically. The assaults, basically. Like several, like at least 5 occasions, he's assaulted me. Once with a wine bottle, once by slamming my head into a wall, once that time in the kitchen the day before this so-called charge of affray that they tried to stitch me up on. Like that is a conspiracy to pervert the cause of justice, and that went ignored by Wiltshire police. Gather a need to scapegoat me, and I just wonder, is there any point even doing these videos? Because do people believe me? Do they listen? Is this in the realms of possibility even? And him, he's probably going to be disinherited. I'll contest the will anyway. I will. I'll just say all this stuff again, when he eventually dies. And bring up the evidence then as well. Say, look, this is what he was doing to me. This is what he's really like. This is how much of a fucking idiot he was. This is someone who has destroyed their whatever brain cells they had with alcohol over a period of 45 years or so. and yeah, a loudmouth, rage-filled, like clockwork horror of a mental case, basically. That's what I had to grow up with as a dad, and yeah, I've suffered greatly as a result of that. For one thing, I suffered greatly as a result of my mother's partner's abuse over the course of many years, which she doesn't acknowledge. She lies about it. So does my sister, because my mum's probably making my sister lie about it to protect the family's reputation, to protect their own stupid reputations. And I'm the only one telling the truth about it. Yeah, it's an unfortunate series of events that has unfolded, but they would love to turn around and say, like, your mental health problems are all your fault because of drugs, because you smoke cannabis. And it's like, it's not because of that. And I don't suffer from a psychotic disorder because of cannabis use. If anything, I would suffer from it because of alcohol use. But, which I was also indoctrinated into by that family, or those families. My mother's family and my own fucking wretched family. No, cannabis has had nothing to do with my mental health problems. Abuse has. Trauma has. Leading to my OCD, leading to my PTSD, leading to my anxiety. Then on top of that, autism spectrum disorder, pretty certain, I think. But yeah, like, in terms of my defense, I'm sending this threatening message to Nicola Lewis, like, I snapped, I got angry, I lost my temper. Also as an act of self-defense against what I sensed would be an inevitable sectioning under the Mental Health Act. If anyone can figure out a timeline on this, like, that's what you need to do. Let's start the 1st of July when these people come around. I exposed my father prior to then for this barn conversion stuff, this desecration of a war monument on our farm, and I figured out that triggered it. That triggered the 1st of July event. Them coming around, because he probably got in contact with the National Trust or something, or with mental health services, who in their turn contacted the National Trust, and is basically trying to get me sectioned again. This constant effort of trying to get me sectioned all the time. As a form of abuse, by the way. He knows I hate it. Just as a form of punishment. Like what's been going on throughout history. And with annoying relatives who, are rocking the apple cart within the family, trying to expose them for their wrongdoing and their abusive behaviour. I'll just stick them in a mental hospital. It'll be easier. That'll shut them up, and so on. And that's what people used to do to their relatives back in the past. We can't carry on doing this. We can't have this attitude of filial piety. It's like this respect for thy mother and thy father. It's honouring thy mother and thy father business. We've got to reject it. Because it produces, it disguises child abuse. Do you know what I mean? If we're to protect the young from their families when they're abusive, we can't just stick the kids in mental hospitals, like so often happens. And like, I've known one person actually who was abused when they were kids, Amanda, actually, and they did the same to her. They put her through the system, to discredit her, more than likely, to prevent her from getting to a courtroom. This is what they do. They say, oh, it's psychosis, so your testimony is worth nothing. It's trauma. That's the thing. And then they just subtly add on the trauma, layer it on with neuro-linguistic programming bullshit, and they think they're very clever for doing it. They think they're trying to hypnotise you and so on, or something, or they are in their minds, and they think they're doing good work by keeping the loonies silent. But really they're just like these ghoul-like human beings very often, with glassy eyes and fixed smiles and a happy, lovely attitude. Very nice people, but just sort of empty inside. And you have to, and deeply creepy for that reason. But yeah, like my defence, like for sending that threatening message, like I simply had enough at that point. Yeah, I was defending my freedom, or trying to say like back off. I'd also lost my temper, and yeah, I decided to do that in the heat of the moment when I sort of had realised what they were trying to do. So I mean, it is perfectly easy enough to figure out like who sent that missing persons report about me, for one thing. The police are more than capable of doing that. Surely, are they not? Or are they not? Or is it a secret? I mean, they wouldn't tell me who sent the report. They wouldn't say it was my mum or my dad or whoever. It was just someone. But who is this someone? Who made that report? That's something I need to know, so I can build my defence. Build my case for cyber stalking and harassment. And I've yeah, I've got evidence of this, of these people having texted me out of the blue, having followed me around on the internet. You know, for years, this has been going on. These unwanted contacts, connections, and cyber stalking very often attends stalking in the real world. I think I have been stalked and followed in the real world. And you know, like, so many psychiatrists would be so easy, like, and glibly and flippantly call it persecutory delusions. But then again, are you denying the existence of persecution? They're saying that somebody does never get persecuted. Or can delusions even be the truth? Is that also what you can say about delusions? Delusions need not be false. That's all that's on this blogspot thing. Like, it's applied so arbitrarily. They're just covering up anything they don't like. Anything that doesn't come from ordinary experience. You know, no, there's no extraordinary experience. Life is just dull and ordinary, and most people are dull and ordinary, and we just go about our dull, ordinary lives, working and sleeping and watching Netflix, and it's just all normal and happy and good for most people. Except, for some people, we become victims of crime, as I've said many times, and we go through extraordinary circumstances sometimes, and that leads to serious mental health problems. PTSD, that is a severe mental illness. OCD is a severe mental illness. Anxiety, a pretty severe mental illness also. I've got all three of those. That is more than enough mental illness. But you've got to insist on schizoaffective disorder or something because I've got to be suffering from delusions. They've got this fixed, firm, unshakable notion of delusion in their mind. Whereas, I don't have any fixed, firm notions in my mind. Nothing I say is not amenable to change in light of conflicting evidence. Like, if you show me the evidence that's conflicting, for one thing, or explain to me the evidence that's conflicting, yeah, perhaps I will change my mind. If, really, what you need to do is you need to prove it incontrovertibly false. That's what you need to do. But, too many people are probably doing that with the DSM-4 definition when the DSM-4 was relevant. And, so they had to soften it down so they could keep getting the customers coming through the system, keep tarring people with delusion and psychosis and these illnesses that terrify people and make everyone want to just get away from us. And, just puts fear into population and marginalises people through stigmatisation of a group. The psychotic. It's the design of the word is very intriguing as well. It's very close to psychopathic. In the minds of most people, that's actually what it means. It means something completely different. It's very close to psychosis, isn't it? It's got psycho in it. So, everyone thinks you're a psycho. And like schizophrenic, like that strikes fear into the hearts of most your average moron out there, doesn't it? Obviously. Even though schizophrenics are more likely to be victims of violence than they are perpetrators of violence. And eventually I became a perpetrator of violence after I'd been through too much shit. On really a handful of occasions, I've snapped and lost control. In almost all the time, I'm perfectly reasonable, perfectly socially competent, and I never lash out really at people. I never get in a fight, never try to hit people, nothing like that ever, not at all. Not really. I do it when I have in self-defense, like with my father, when we're having a confrontation and he won't back down and he's going to put hands on me or something. Like he tried to in that barn conversion that night when I beat him up a bit. I gave him a bit of a kicking. They said it was going to be ABH apparently, but mental health diversion, 3 months in hospital, which is probably what I'm going to face this time. Or maybe, I don't know, longer even. Probably not, I would have said. Like an ABH sort of carries, well, depending on how severe it is, the sort of the tougher sentences than this actually. So, I don't know, but I've been looking into like sentencing guidelines and things on the CPS website, Crown Prosecution Service website, for things like malicious communications and sending or posting menacing videos, which is what I suppose I posted, like maximum 2 years in prison, or like for various mitigating circumstances, including severe mental disorder, more like a community order, but a criminal record as well is what you get. So, but that, like, I didn't get taken to a police station and actually charged with that sort of thing, so it won't go to the CPS. It's all getting shoved through the mental health back door again. Because, maybe they're even afraid I'll plead not guilty, because it was in self-defense. So, it doesn't constitute a threat per se, or not a legally actionable threat as set out under the Offences Against the Persons Act. Which, because the Act, Offences Against the Persons Act, defines what a threat is in the first instance. If you don't have a lawful excuse for it, that's also crucial. I believe I probably have a lawful excuse for it, given like how often they've tried to get me sectioned in the past, how often they've succeeded, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I do think I have a lawful excuse for this in self-defense, and frankly, just because I lost my temper for being like triggered and harassed again by people with mental health concerns, founded in fuck all evidence, other than me like he said, she said. Medical notes is just full of hearsay, basically. It's he said, she said, nurses' reports, arbitrary kind of like observation of people, what we kind of think of them, what sort of vibe they give off, or whatever bullshit it is that those people write down in their notes, or second, third-hand information, or whatever else. And I've read those things, they deviate from the truth, like so wildly often. Reading that, you think I'm a huge danger to the public. You would, but I'm not. Really, I'm not. Not off meds, on meds, I'm not. It's just, how was I with the National Trust these past 11 months? Did I ever threaten any of those people? Why would I? I got on really well with them. I liked them all, they were all great. They never wronged me in any way. So, they also didn't try to do to me, they didn't try to take my home from me. What I was promised growing up, this farm will be yours one day. That yeah, I do want it one day. Frankly, I do want to live there. I said in this meeting today with a psychiatrist, like, oh, I don't know if I even want to live at that place anymore. It's all the bad memories. I think it just make me upset. But no, actually, I do want to live there. I do want that to be my house. I think like what my father's going to try and take from me if he disinherits me. My security in old age. You're going to do that to me? You're going to make me die poor? When you were given a farm by your parents at the age of 23 and you couldn't even get me a house. Not that I'd ever really asked for one, but he sort of like alluded to the idea that he'd buy one at some point and give me a place, but no, I get made fucking homeless repeatedly. Like he's ever had to go through that. Living in homeless shelters and supported accommodation. The hell of that sort of life. The life of living in the poorest, most degraded circumstances you can live in the United Kingdom. And you think that's good for my mental fucking health? Like you know anything about mental health anyway? It deserves like, I don't know, a longer video, because there's just so much more that needs to be said. Yeah. You're gonna attack my entire future. And firstly, like he always wanted me to go do something in the city, go be successful, and somehow run the farm as well from your office in London or whatever it is. Like that was his big plan for me. Like what if I wanted to run the farm? Like what are you going to teach me about the farm? Like, how to run it? Like how to drive a tractor, say? And so on. He never did any of that stuff for me. But it's like he has it in for me from the beginning. Oh, we taught Georgie though. You know, the first time she ever worked on the farm was in her 20s and boom, straight away on a tractor. I was begging him for work since I was about 13 years old. Just for a bit of pocket money. And he gave me every fucking job under the sun, creosoting and odd jobs around the farm, getting wood in, that sort of crap, which I, did drive the quad bike for, but no tractor work. That was all for like a second cousin, John Cottle, during haymaking. Like he'd do all that shit. Like why? I'm your son. Yeah. Like it's just it's little things like that childhood. So I always knew I was the unfavoured child. Always I was. Georgie was the favoured child. Like she got the dog she wanted. I got the dog I got parred off with this dog that I didn't really have any bond with. I wanted a collie, and I got like a little like Highland Terrier sort of thing called Pip, who I walked every day pretty much, but she was basically out of control. And she was bought from a guy my dad knew because like he'd been pressured into buying it or something, and he just like fobbed it off on me, this dog. And I didn't have my own dog, my own companion. Yeah, I wanted a dog. Georgie got to go to Dawnseys, the more expensive private school. I got a scholarship to Warminster, so I went there. But that was good for my dad. He had to spend less money on me. Sounds like rich people problems, doesn't it? It sort of is. But it betrays something about what growing up in that household was like. Georgie, daddy and mummy's little girl. Me, the problem child. The one who's weird and, not... and autistic, let's face it. And they probably knew that anyway. And never got me diagnosed. My mum would deny it. But she thinks she knows everything about everything. She's a narcissist. And even when I needed a diagnosis really, or some way of figuring out like what is going on with me. And I suspect even to this day, yes, it is autism on some level. To some extent. Got the obsessiveness down, got the selective mutism down, got the lack of social imagination. Like, do I find it difficult to read minds? Yeah, I do actually. I find it very difficult actually to empathise with people a lot of the time. I have empathy. I do, but it's selective. It's like I understand people when I understand them. Like for instance, dark triad types. I have no idea what they're thinking or feeling, if they're feeling anything. There's so many people are like that, they don't feel anything particularly. Therefore, when they're feeling nothing, I do empathise with I start feeling what they feel, so I feel nothing as well, and I just detect in them a complete vacuum. And it's rather terrifying and intimidating to come across people like that. And what am I going to do about this? I defended myself well enough, I think. That's the basis of my defence. For making that video and putting it on Facebook. I was panicked. I was scared. I felt intimidated and threatened by frankly subtle, indirect threats, but via the safeguarding types, via NHS mental health services who came round, and Andy Flashman made that ridiculous point about the NHS's motto, being free at the point of need to being free at the point of delivery. Oh, it's the same meaning, innit? What Jobsworth cunt he is. Serious Jobsworth. Low intellect. Like, not having read enough, about things like human rights and totalitarian systems, and not thinking nearly hard enough about details like that, which are very, very important in understanding how systems of power become grow from noble ambitions to becoming corrupted and perverted by successive political organisations running them. Free at the point of delivery, as in we'll give it to you whether you like it or not. Yeah? Healthcare. Like forced treatment. Not free at the point of need. When you need it. It needs to go back to that. It obviously needs to go back to that to save the NHS. To get the decency of the NHS back into the system, and not this Tory corruption that's perverted it beyond all recognition from what it was set up to be. It's just such a dangerous system we have. It is corrupt, it is totalitarian. This is what this system is. This is a totalitarian system. This is a system of thought policing. And we live in a police state. And will Burnham change it? Will Starmer change it? Did either of them? I don't think so. I still can't smoke in a mental hospital garden. You're Labour, why not overturn that policy from the Tories? We disagree with about smoking, encouraging smoking. You agree on that with the Conservatives, on level then you're red Tories. That's just, you see what I mean? It's brutal, this. This is evil. This is an evil system, run by evil people, for evil objectives. Silence people, attack their beliefs, subject them to degradation, attack their dignity, degrading, inhumane treatment with dangerous chemicals. They're looking at me again through the fucking window. Always watching, constantly spying on you. Like those people in that time I got sectioned when they sent me to that mental hospital in Bath. When I walk past my laptop's camera with a knife, section me for that. It could be for fucking anything. They section me in the morning as well. It's not as though I went to stab Nicola in her sleep. Is it? So why does that make me dangerous to myself or others? I was momentarily holding a knife. I clearly put the knife down at some point and didn't act on any desire to kill anyone. So why does that make me sectionable? It's just another example of an illegal sectioning. Kidnapping, basically. That's what's been going on. So I'll continue fighting this, but I don't know what else I can say. I really don't. We need a campaign to stop this. This is disgusting. We can't be tolerating torture and abuse on an industrial scale in the United Kingdom in the 21st century. Not when we've got the Human Rights Act and we're part of the ECHR. We've ratified the International Declaration on Human Rights. It's not right and good or dignified. It's just a crazy system of bullying, pushing people around, intimidation, routinely attacking the freedom of conscience. It's just so fucked up. It's got to be stopped.